It was because, during my birthday party, when I confessed my feelings to Madeline, my uncle, who had raised me, found out. He looked at me in disbelief. Furious. "Jo Stella. Although I was your father's close friend, I am still your uncle. How could you harbor such unnatural thoughts?" Madeline, standing beside me in front of all the guests, poured oil on the fire. "I heard she was gazing at your portrait last night. How shameless. We would never do such a thing." As I was overcome with shame and anger, he will forcefully grabbed my wrist and tied me to the paraglider that was supposed to be used for my birthday celebration. The paraglider rose uncontrollably, and my delicate skin was cut deep enough to see bone. As my feet left the ground, I could only beg desperately. But he will ignored me and instead protected Madeline as they went into my room. While they were making love in my room, I was forced to fly into the sky with the paraglider. With no safety precautions. They completely forgot about me. Until the air marshal called them. "Mr. Williamson, a paraglider with your company's logo has entered a restricted flight zone. Do you want us to shoot it down along with the person attached to it?" He will froze. The next moment, he was completely overcome with regret. I clung to the paraglider's ropes, my hands bleeding profusely. On one side, Hewell was lavishing attention on my Madeline. "Maddie, you were startled at the birthday party. I've already had someone prepare some milk. You should go inside and rest. I've had someone throw everything out of Jo Stella's room. You can stay there now." I couldn't care less about Hewell's tenderness toward Maddie. I could only cling to the ropes and beg, "Uncle, I'm sorry. Please let me down. My hands are almost cut off." Hewell's expression suddenly changed. Abandoning his earlier gentleness, his face grew cold and stern. "This is to teach you a lesson. How dare you harbor such thoughts toward an elder? You don't even come close to Maddie in terms of manners. I've already realized my mistake. I won't dare to think such things again. Please let me down. This is the 120th floor. If the paraglider takes off with me, I'll die." Hearing this, Hewell, who had been furious moments ago, softened slightly. He hesitated, about to untie me, but Maddie pulled him back. "Uncle, don't worry. The paraglider is secured with several ropes. It's very sturdy. Nothing will happen. I heard that Stella ordered a life-size doll of Uncle online a couple of days ago." "She's lying." I was startled by Maddie's triumphant smile. The paraglider was swaying dangerously and wasn't secured at all. And the life-sized doll she mentioned. I hadn't bought it either. I had just seen the service online that day and chatted about it with her. The paraglider was rising higher and higher with the wind. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw that one of the ropes securing the paraglider had snapped in half. But now, Hewell had already been provoked into anger by Maddie's few words. He rushed over and untied another rope. "Jo Stella, how did I raise you? You've actually learned to lie. You've really let me down. If you were half as obedient as Maddie, things would be so much better. Since you're trying to win my sympathy with lies, I'll show you whether the paraglider can actually fly away. You'll stay tied to it and reflect on your actions." However, without the rope to hold it in place, the paraglider began to drift higher into the sky. My feet could only tiptoe, ready to leave the ground at any moment. The paraglider pulled me into an awkward position, making it extremely difficult to breathe. The lack of oxygen caused stars to dance before my eyes. Snap! Another rope securing the paraglider snapped. The alarm installed by Hewell to monitor the paraglider also sounded a piercing alarm. The noise startled Hewell, who rushed out. Standing at the door, I shouted with tears in my voice, "Uncle! Save me! The rope is about to break. I'll be carried away by the paraglider." Hewell was about to step forward but was stopped by Maddie. I already had Stella's bodyguard check the ropes. They said everything was fine. "You've spoiled Stella since she was a child. She's definitely doing this on purpose to make you feel guilty so she can avoid punishment." After Maddie finished speaking, the worry on Hewell's face immediately turned to disgust. "Jo Stella, I've never punished you once in your life. And now you're disregarding human ethics and committing such a heinous act. I'm just giving you a small punishment as a lesson. And you're trying to get away with it. This is simply too much. Why can't you learn from Maddie, who is gentle, kind, and honest? Unlike you, who doesn't even know what kind of bad people you've been hanging out with. No. Maddie is the one who lied. She never asked the bodyguard to check the rope. Uncle. Please believe me. Maddie is the one who lied. He will become even angrier upon hearing this. Stella. Maddie is your Madeline. You dare to slander her to escape punishment. Have you forgotten everything I taught you? Maddie also started to sob at the right moment. Why don't you let Stella go? She must be holding a grudge against me for telling Mr. Williamson the truth earlier. So she's deliberately slandering me. Mr. Williamson. If you want to punish someone, punish me alone. Don't blame Stella. It's all my fault. Seeing this, he will quickly hugged her and comforted her softly. As my strength was fading away, I had no choice but to desperately feel for the broken rope and wave it at he will. Uncle. The rope is really broken. But he didn't even glance at me. He was protecting Maddie and about to take her back to the room. Maddie was still crying. And as she cried, she said to he will. Mr. Williamson. You should go check on Stella. Although I already gave her the unlocked key secretly. She's acting like this just to get your attention. Please satisfy her. She's a liar and morally corrupt. She doesn't deserve for me to go see her. The keys are already in her hands. Let her come down herself. If she doesn't want to come down, I'll see how long she can keep this up. He will glared at me angrily. Then helped Maddie into the house. After entering the room, he even slammed the glass door shut with force. I finally gave up hope. Closing my eyes. Tears silently trickled down my cheeks. I don't know why. Ever since I brought Maddie to he will. He has refused to believe a word I say. Everything is good about Maddie. Even today's birthday party, it was only because her birthday is the same day as mine that he decided to make it so grand. Maddie's princess dress today was even more beautiful and elegant than mine. At my most heartbroken moment, he will said that since Maddie was an orphan, we should let her feel the warmth of a family. But all of this was supposed to be mine. He had once admitted with his own mouth that I was the little princess he held in the palm of his hand. Why is everything? Just then, my bodyguard Jack suddenly appeared from the side, sneaking up on me. When I saw him, it was like seeing a savior. Jack. I can't hold on much longer. Hurry and save me. He glanced at me and hurriedly said, Miss Madeline. Wait. I'll find a tool and come save you. At that moment, I truly believed I could be saved. I struggled to hold on to the rope, trying to keep myself from falling and catch my breath for a moment. But the next second, I heard Jack's voice, strained and low. Miss Madeline. The rope is definitely broken. As long as I quietly open the button securing the paraglider, this can all be passed off as an accident. Good. Follow me. Mr. Williamson is looking for you. As soon as Maddie finished speaking, he Will's stern voice rang out. What are you doing here? Maddie was startled. But Jack reacted faster than her. Miss Madeline just asked me to check the glider's securing rope. Mr. Williamson. Everything is in perfect condition. There's no need to worry. My heart sank to the bottom. And I felt even more desperate. Yes. How could I have not thought of that? The glider's securing rope was so thick and had always been in perfect condition. How could it have suddenly snapped? Hearing that the ropes were intact, he will grew even angrier. He didn't even glance in my direction. His face dark as he stormed into the house. The upward force of the paraglider grew stronger and stronger. And I had no strength left to resist it. As I saw myself being lifted off the ground by it, I suddenly noticed a package hanging from the edge of the paraglider. I remembered that it should contain emergency supplies for after the paraglider landed. Gritting my teeth, I pulled on the rope and used my last ounce of strength to pull out a communication device. Then turned it on. Whoever this is, please save me. A tense voice immediately came through. Stella? Is that you? Stella? Where are you now? But before I could respond, Jack snatched the device away. Mr. Williamson said you are not allowed to contact anyone until your punishment is over. The device was forcibly shut off. And I looked at Lee Maddie behind Jack in despair. Why are you doing this to me? We were once so close. Sharing everything. The best of friends. Why did everything suddenly turn out this way? Why would the friend I gained with my heart now try so hard to kill me? Lee Maddie laughed. Her eyes and brows betrayed her satisfaction. There's nothing we can do. Stella. What can we do when we both fell in love with the same man? My purpose in getting close to you was to get closer to him. But his eyes have always been on you. Only by getting rid of you will he finally look at me and love me once. So. Stella. Go to hell. A loud shout came from the rooftop garden. Let me in. Stella just sent me a distress signal. I've located her position. If we don't get in now, it'll be too late. The voice made my heart race. It was my Liam Ji Huisheng. But then he will block his way. Ji Huisheng. You're getting bolder and bolder. Everyone in New York knows you're a rebel without a cause, referring to Liam. Do you still want to come in and corrupt Stella? Stella is fine. She's just getting a lesson. She should stay away from someone like you so she doesn't go down the wrong path. Get out of here immediately. Or I'll tell old Mr. Hanson. And you'll regret it. No. Stella's voice is so weak. She's such a strong person. If she weren't on the brink of death, she wouldn't be begging like that. Ji Huisheng's words made He Will frown. He hesitated. Just as he was about to let him pass, Lee Maddie rushed over. I advise young Master Hanson not to go. What Stella did shouldn't be discussed with outsiders. It would tarnish the reputations of both the Williamson family and Stella's family. She needs to learn a lesson now. Otherwise, if this gets out, it'll be the biggest scandal in New York in recent years. Hearing Lee Maddie mention this, Will's face darkened. He no longer hesitated and stepped in front of Ji Huisheng. Young Master Hanson, please return. Otherwise, you will jeopardize the business collaboration between the Williamson family and the Hanson family, a project worth trillions. No amount of money is worth more than Stella. Ji Huisheng lost his patience and began to wrestle with He Will without a word. Lee Maddie had never seen Ji Huisheng fight so fiercely and screamed in alarm. Trying to protect He Will, she was forcefully pushed away by Ji Huisheng and fell to the ground. He Will's eyes turned red as he grabbed Lee Maddie around the waist and held her tightly, shouting angrily. Ji Huisheng, what are you doing? You've hurt Maddie. Her knee is scraped so badly. What if it leaves a scar? Stella's life is in danger. Ji Huisheng shouted. He was absolutely right. As they struggled and fought, my last ounce of strength was completely exhausted. The few ropes that Jack had secretly cut were one by one snapping. But He Will, still holding Lee Maddie, rushed into the house, frantically shouting for the family doctor to come and examine her, holding her in his arms as if she were a precious treasure. And I, the pearl he once held in the palm of his hand. Now, I was drifting away helplessly with the paraglider. By the time Ji Huisheng finally broke through the bodyguard's blockade and rushed to the 120th floor terrace, there was no trace of me left. Jack sighed in relief and said to Ji Huisheng in a casual tone. See, Mr. Ji, we told you the young miss would be fine. But the next moment, Ji Huisheng spotted a figure growing increasingly distant in the haze. As He Will hesitated to ask Lee Maddie, Stella really won't be okay? I don't think that guy's surname Ji was faking it just now. Ji Huisheng had already rushed out of the rooftop and was descending desperately toward the nearby helicopter platform. Lee Maddie snuggled into He Will's embrace, her tenderness hiding a cold edge. Isn't Ji Huisheng known for being stubborn? And Jack said Stella is fine, right? In half an hour, he'll come down and bring her back. He Will finally nodded. His expression grew hazy. His face flushed red. He had clearly been drugged. In his daze, he saw Lee Maddie lean in to kiss him. Lost in desire, he murmured a name. Stella. Lee Maddie froze for a moment, her expression turning icy. But she still pressed herself against him without hesitation. Just as the man was being swept away by wave after wave of desire, a phone call suddenly rang. Mr. Williamson, a paraglider with your company's logo has entered a restricted flight zone. Do you want us to shoot it down along with the person on board? He will froze. He pushed the naked woman aside and rushed to the observation platform. Looking at the empty observation deck, he will erupted into a desperate cry. As I was being carried away by the paraglider, I had no protection on my body. I could only cling to the paraglider with all my strength, relying solely on instinct. Because of my fear of heights, I dared not look down. He knew very well that I was most afraid of flying at high altitudes. When he took me to the paragliding lessons, I was fine during the ground training. But as soon as we were in the air, I cried hysterically. He held me in his arms, whispering comforting words and coaxing me until I finally stopped crying. But because of Lee Maddie's remark that she wanted to experience the feeling of flying in the air, he had someone specially prepare a full set of paragliding gear for my birthday party. A tear fell. Before it even left my eyelashes, it had already turned to ice. The oxygen deprivation and cold at high altitudes left me nearly unconscious. I could only rely on the skills I had learned to control the paraglider, moving mechanically and instinctively. I didn't know where I was flying or how much longer I could hold on. Until, amidst the roaring wind, I heard a desperate shout. Stella! Stay awake! Give me your hands! I forced my eyes, frozen shut by ice, open. Before me was Ji Huisheng, spreading his limbs wide, flying steadily in front of me. He was wearing a wingsuit and was doing his best to control himself. Slowly approaching me. The helicopter that had brought him here was also quickly retreating from the scene to avoid disrupting his rescue efforts with air currents. Give me your hands. My hands were frozen stiff, but relying on the instinctive movements driven by my will to survive, I finally grabbed Ji Huisheng's hand. He was overcome with emotion, quickly pulling me closer and taking control of the paraglider. Under his control, I could clearly feel the parachute, which had been tossed around by the turbulent air currents, finally stabilize and begin to fly toward the sunny sky. Listen to this, Stella. After escaping the most turbulent part of the air currents, Ji Huisheng, who had gradually relaxed, slipped an earpiece into my ear. Will's voice came from the other end. Where's Stella? Jack panicked. Mr. Williamson. We don't know either. We just saw the young lady a moment ago. She might have already returned to her room. What about the paraglider? How do you explain that? In his rage, Will seemed to regain his wits. Does Stella think she can hide such a large and heavy paraglider? Just then, another bodyguard rushed over and switched the surveillance camera on the observation deck to show Will. When he saw the rope snap and heard me shouting for help, his expression changed. Because he realized that everything I had said was the truth. So when he saw the paraglider flying away in the wind, Will, who had always been a ruthless businessman, began to tremble uncontrollably. Where did she go? Find her. Bring her back safely. He stood there in regret, looking up as tears of despair streamed down his cheeks. It's all my fault. How could I be so foolish and ignore you? Not believing you when you said the rope broke. Stella. Where are you? Stop playing around. Come out and don't hide. Uncle is scared. Uncle will really be heartbroken. I heard the voice coming through the headphones, and a cold laugh involuntarily escaped my throat. I didn't cherish him when I was by his side. Now that I'm forced to leave him, what is he putting on for? Lee Maddie arrived. She had changed into a very mature, feminine, and equally sexy outfit. She walked up to Will, just like in the past, and naturally wrapped her arm around his, saying, Mr. Williamson, stop looking. Maybe Stella is angry with you and is intentionally playing this disappearing act to scare you. Once you really panic, her lies will succeed. But this time, the response wasn't Will's usual gentle words, but a cold, suffocating question. Lee Maddie, do you think that's possible? Stella is the child I raised from childhood. Don't you think I know her better than anyone else? Or do you think that I know Stella less than you? A complete stranger? Lee Maddie stood there frozen. Tears welled up in her beautiful eyes, looking utterly innocent and pitiful. In the past, whenever Lee Maddie acted like this, He-Will would always soften and side with her. But this time, He-Will didn't even glance at her. At that moment, several bodyguards arrived. They glared at Lee Maddie, then turned to He-Will and told him they had something to report. The young miss was killed by the woman by your side. One of the bodyguards pointed at her without hesitation. Lee Maddie was terrified by the bodyguard's appearance and cowered behind He-Will. He-Will was indeed affected by this tactic. He softened his voice slightly and said to the bodyguards, I know Stella has always been very kind to you. But you shouldn't blame Maddie for her disappearance. She's so gentle and kind, she's the most innocent one here. Before he could finish, several bodyguards dragged Jack, who had been beaten to a pulp, forward. They kicked him in the back of the knee, forcing him to kneel. Jack, upon seeing Lee Maddie, cared for nothing else and crawled toward her like a dog. Save me. Save me. Miss Madeline. Those things were all done at your orders. You can't abandon me now. Even He-Will, who had been trying to protect Lee Maddie, couldn't help but narrow his eyes upon hearing those words. He didn't notice that Lee Maddie's face had turned deathly pale behind him. Even so, she forced herself to say, Jack, it was your fault for failing to protect Stella. Now you want to shift the blame onto me? Before Lee Maddie could finish her sentence, a voice rang out. Jack, go cut a hole in the rope securing the paraglider. Remember, make sure the rope breaks without a trace. If you help me with this, I'll release your family. Once I've driven Joe Stella away and become the mistress of Williamson Enterprises. I promise I won't treat you badly. One rope is already cut. Go check the connection and cut all the ropes. I want everyone to think that Joe Stella died in an accident when the paraglider broke the ropes. No one will blame you or me. I loved He-Will so much. But why does his loving gaze always belong to Joe Stella? I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Lee Maddie's face drained of all color. She looked in horror at the surveillance video the bodyguards were showing her and screamed frantically, disregarding her appearance. No! This is all fake. You fabricated this to deceive Mr. Williamson. How much did Joe Stella give you? I'll give you double. Just tell the truth. Slap. Before Lee Maddie could finish her sentence, her face was struck by He-Will's slap. She was completely panicked. With a thud, she knelt down at He-Will's feet. Without any regard for her appearance, she crawled to his feet, clinging to his legs and said, Will, don't believe them. It was all Jack. That traitor. Who forced me to say it? He was just trying to curry favor with Stella. So, seeing that Lee Maddie had betrayed him completely, Jack was furious. Having lost all hope, he resorted to a desperate gamble and said to He-Will, Every word I said is the truth. And although Miss Stella likes Mr. Williamson, she has always been very restrained and she knows it would cause trouble for Mr. Williamson. Those disgusting, obsessive things were all done by Lee Maddie. Seeing Jack expose her, Lee Maddie went mad with panic. She tried to argue, but Jack directly showed him the chat records where she had asked him to buy the doll for her. At the end, she added one more sentence. Remember to pin all of this on Joe Stella later. He-Will couldn't take it anymore and kicked Lee Maddie in the chest. As she flew through the air, the bodyguards around her instinctively stepped aside. She landed heavily on the ground, writhing in agony. Stella was so good to you. Why are you doing this to her? Facing He-Will's rage, Lee Maddie knew she was finished. She burst into tears in despair. Because I love you. From the moment Joe Stella introduced me to you, I fell deeply in love with you. Why does she, Joe Stella, deserve such a good life and your affection? I was born with nothing. I refuse to accept this. I only want you to be your woman, even if it means becoming your dog. Mr. Williamson. Mr. Williamson. No one in this world loves you more than I do. Please let me stay by your side. Joe Stella is dead. From now on, I'll love you as she did. Slap. Another slap. He looked at her coldly. as if she were already dead. What are you? You dare to be mentioned in the same breath as Stella? If it weren't for Stella, you wouldn't even deserve a second glance from me. Since you've admitted that you killed Stella, you'll pay with your life. The despair Stella felt tied to that parachute, you'll experience it too. He didn't even need to give the order. The bodyguards, who had already been holding back, rushed forward and dragged her to the new paraglider. They tied her hands to the paraglider and placed it at the edge of the 120th floor, letting it sway dangerously. Amidst Lee Maddie's terrified screams and pleas for mercy, the bodyguards ignored her and began cutting the ropes one by one. With each rope cut, the paraglider would snap outward a little more. This tormented Lee Maddie both physically and mentally. Finally, when only one rope, cut in half, remained holding the paraglider in place, he ordered them to stop. He coldly stared at Lee Maddie. The most terrifying and despairing thing in this world is to watch yourself die slowly and helplessly. Lee Maddie, you are in this state now. I want you to watch this rope break bit by bit and watch yourself die slowly. This is what you owe Stella. After saying that, he turned and left without looking back. Lee Maddie was left there, desperately pleading and screaming, until, bang, the rope, broken. At the same time, a bodyguard rushed in from outside, his face flushed with excitement. He approached Will and said, "Mr. Williamson, there's news. Miss Stella has been saved." Ji Huisheng's rescue of me was not smooth. The harsh weather even once swept our glider up to nearly 8,000 meters in the air. Planes flew past us, but I could barely hear them, due to severe oxygen deprivation and cold. I had almost lost all consciousness. It was Ji Huisheng who, while risking his life to control the paraglider, kept talking to me non-stop, pulling me back from the brink of unconsciousness. He said, "Stella, I've loved you for a long time. From the moment you appeared in my life, I couldn't help but fall in love with you. But your eyes have always been on Will. So I've never dared to say it. I've always held back. But this time, if I don't say it, I'm afraid I'll never be able to tell you all of this. Since we're already at 8,000 meters in the air, let the clouds tell you everything for me. Okay? Will is just a few years older than you. He can protect you. But I'm the same age as you. And I can grow old with you. So, Stella, can you turn around and look at me? I've been waiting behind you. Waiting for you to turn around. For a very long time. If you're willing to give me another chance. Can I tell you in person after we land? Stella, I like you. I love you. I want to marry you. Perhaps love truly can overcome everything." My consciousness slowly returned under Ji Huisheng's calls. Though I was still dazed and my body was frozen stiff, at least I could croak out to Ji Huisheng. "What did you just say?" I didn't hear clearly. Even such a simple sentence made the young man so excited his voice trembled. He wept with joy, tears freezing into ice crystals on his face. With all his strength, he slowly maneuvered the glider out of the dangerous area and began to descend. When we reappeared in everyone's sight, everyone couldn't help but cheer. They said it was a miracle. As I lay on the stretcher, on the verge of unconsciousness, I affirmed this in my heart. This was a miracle of love. When I woke up again, Ji Huisheng was sitting beside me, propping his chin up and staring at me intently. His eyes were bright, as if he had stolen the ice crystals from the clouds and hidden them in his eyes. I blushed instantly, my cheeks turning crimson. But the uncontrollable lump in my throat made tears roll down my cheeks one by one. This made Ji Huisheng panic. He jumped off his bed, ran to me, and embraced me tightly. "Stella, don't cry. Everything is over now." I nodded repeatedly in his arms. "Okay. I won't cry. Ji Huisheng. This time, you're in front of me, not behind me." He froze. It seemed as though he had realized something. His ears turned bright red in an instant. Even so, he couldn't believe it and asked again. "What?" I said. "Ji Huisheng. The clouds in the sky secretly told me that there was a fool who had been waiting behind me, hoping I would turn around. But now he's no longer behind me, he's right in front of me. So, do the words the clouds told me still hold true? Ji Huisheng stood there in shock for a moment. Finally, he snapped out of it and hugged me tightly, his voice trembling with excitement. Of course they still count. Of course they still count. You heard it too. Stella. You finally agreed to look at me. His joy and excitement were as though he had finally obtained a priceless treasure. And that treasure was me. I snuggled happily into his arms, finally feeling a sense of peace. It turned out that love that had survived life and death together was more solid than any other fleeting emotion in this world. Thank goodness. This time, I didn't miss out. Just as we were immersed in happiness, someone suddenly came to announce. Mr. Hansen. Miss Zhou. Mr. Williamson is here. When he appeared before me, Will's face showed guilt. But more than that was his usual air of nobility. He looked at me, his face filled with apology. Stella. This was my fault. I've already tidied up your room. Come back after you're discharged from the hospital. I'll make it up to you. I'll love you just as much as before. His tone was so calm, as if everything had been nothing more than a minor incident like running away from home. I shook my head. Uncle William, thank you for your kindness. But I won't be returning. That's not my home. Upon hearing this, Will's expression changed drastically. He looked at me in disbelief, his voice becoming hoarse. Stella. What did you call me? After living with him for so many years, I had always stubbornly refused to call him Uncle William. Because back then, there was still a glimmer of hope in me that our relationship wouldn't remain at that half-hearted stage. But this time, I called him Uncle on my own. From that moment on, our relationship was set in stone. His eyes were filled with pain, and a hint of suffering lingered in his pupils. Uncle William. I called out again. I found a new home. I took Ji Huisheng's hand, looking at him with eyes full of love. Sweet and happy. My heart has found its place. So I won't be going back. My heart tells me it wants to be with the one it loves. Resentment welled up on Will's face, and he could barely speak. Zhou. Stella. Don't you love me? How could you? How could you? Look. He knew everything. But he pretended not to know, enjoying the endless pursuit and admiration I gave him from behind. I laughed mockingly. I laughed at my own naive past, and at Will's inability to grasp the present. Uncle William. Life and death can change a person's perspective. When I came down from the sky, it was like being reborn. The Zhou Stella who once loved you was bound to a parachute by your own hands and died at 8,000 meters above the ground. Uncle William. I don't love you anymore. And as an elder, you're entangled with a younger person like me over love. It's utterly against the norms of humanity. You are an elder, you should set an example for us. The words Will once said to me, when I repeated them back to him word for word, caused him to stumble slightly. He clutched his chest, which was twisting in pain, and breathed heavily. Before he could say anything else, the hospital room door opened. Ji Huisheng saw him and burst into laughter, cheerfully calling out to the person who entered. Grandpa. Grandpa smiled gently at the two of us. Then his expression turned stern as he coldly stared at Will, whose pain was evident on his face. Even if Will tried to pretend everything was fine, his reaction couldn't escape the keen eyes of the seasoned old Mr. Hansen, tapping his cane. Old Mr. Hansen said to him. Mr. The Hansen Group has just passed a resolution. We have decided to terminate all cooperation with the Williamson family. Why? Before old Mr. Hansen could finish speaking, Will could no longer contain himself and erupted in anger. Old Mr. Hansen didn't spare him a glance, looking at him with disdain and mockery before saying indifferently. A man who cannot even treat the daughter entrusted to him by an old friend with kindness. The Ji family does not believe he has anything trustworthy about him in the business world. The Ji family has never done business with such people. Moreover, Mr. There is something you may not know. The reason we chose to collaborate with you was never because the Williamson family is some new money aristocracy, but because of Stella. The Zhou and Ji families are long-standing allies. If it weren't for wanting Stella to have a better life in your home, the Ji family's orders would never have been entrusted to you. Now that you're treating Stella this way, you'll be completely ostracized in the Beijing circle. No one will ever do business with you again, and your assets will eventually be liquidated. That's the price you'll pay for treating Stella this way. Seeing his fortune about to be completely seized, he will finally panic. His legs gave way, and he collapsed beside my bed, pleading pitifully. Stella, it's my fault. It's all my fault. For the sake of all the years I've taken care of you, please forgive me. Promise me you'll come back. I'll treat you even better than before. Actually, Stella, I've always liked you. I just didn't dare admit it because I was afraid of what others would say. Every night, I tried to suppress my feelings. I couldn't let anyone know. I looked at him indifferently. If he had said those words before, how wonderful it would have been. But now it's too late. I turned my head away. I'm sorry, Uncle. I can't help you. If I left you hanging 8,000 meters in the air, fighting for your life, I don't think you'd have the heart to forgive me. I'm sorry, Uncle William. The feelings I had as a young girl were buried by you with your own hands. The Stella of today belongs only to the man who would give his life for me. I clutched Ji Huisheng's hand tightly, not sparing a single glance for he will. In the end, old Mr. Hansen couldn't bear to watch anymore. He ordered someone to drag He Will, who was pleading desperately at my bedside, away. He will refuse to give up. His pleas for me to change my mind echoed through the hospital corridors. I knew, having lost everything, He Will, with his proud and aloof nature, would never be able to bear it. He would go mad. He would break down. But I couldn't care less. After going through life and death, after coming down from heaven, I finally understood one thing. That is, cherishing the present and cherishing the people in front of you is always the best choice. So when Ji Huisheng embraced me, I finally felt the peace of mind I had been longing for all these years. This was the true harbor for my wandering soul. I would cling to this harbor, by his side, until the sun and moon turned, and the earth and sky grew old.